All right, let's turn the page to National Signing Day. We just got finished, Jordan, with National Signing Day. Happened today. Clemson wrapped up their National Signing Day pretty early this morning. Everybody signed very early. Right now, Clemson sits as the number 26 overall class. Got 15 players that signed with the Tigers today. Obviously, headlined by Amir Adams out of Florence, South Carolina, Braden Jacobs out of Alpharetta, Georgia, and obviously probably the leader of the class as far as the guy recruiting everybody else, Gideon Davison out of Virginia, just to name a few of the highlights of the class. This has obviously been a weird class for Clemson. 7 decommits. We've talked about it at length on this channel. 4 of them in the ESPN Top 100, the 24/7 Top 100. But a pretty good class for Clemson nonetheless. Bring in 1 5-star, obviously, 5 4-stars, and then 9 3-stars so far in the class. What are your thoughts on what Clemson got accomplished with these 15 signees, and then anybody of note that stands out to you that you want to talk about? Go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we've, over the past, 6-7 months, we've talked about this class and most of the guys that are in the class, but, I had never really did a full video on some of Clemson's newer additions. I'm thinking I'm going to do like a series of videos, so y'all be tuned in for that, where I go deep dive into all of Clemson signees, and kind of their film and what Clemson is getting in them. But of course, you have the standouts, Amari Adams out of South Florence, kid that very easily, when all of the defections were happening in this class, could have gone and gotten an offer somewhere else, or committed to another big time program. But he was very, very loyal, dedicated to going to Clemson, and he said as much. So a kid like him that's as talented as he is, especially a 5-star defensive lineman, those guys come at a premium and will be they're offered a ton of money as far as NIL dollars is concerned. His choice to stick with Clemson means, I think it should mean a lot, and I think the fan base should be really, really excited about him. Gideon Davidson is in that same boat. Ari Watford, and Braden Jacobs. Braden Jacobs was his father, Brandon Jacobs. I'm sure if you guys remember the Falcons, or the former Falcons running back. He talked about how multiple schools came and offered Braden a boatload of money in terms of NIL dollars, but they made a commitment, and they felt they wanted to honor that commitment, and that's where Clemson was where Braden wanted to be. So I think that's one of the things that sticks out to me about this class. The guys you did get, they're guys that want to be Clemson Tigers, and that's in this day and age like that. I think that needs to be appreciated. We've talked about our frustrations with how this class turned out, just because of the defections and the guys you missed. But I really do think this is a strong group of kids that you brought in, that you did bring in, not just from a player standpoint, but just a person standpoint. And I think that a lot of these kids are kids that are going to want to be here for the long haul, and not guys that you'll enter the portal after one season. Right. So I don't think that can be discredited. Talk about some of the new additions. Tucker Caddis, the offensive lineman, you flipped from Kentucky. Ohio linemen have done a lot of good for Clemson over the years, especially recently. Yeah. Blake, you have one on your line right now, and Blake Miller, who could potentially be a first-round pick when his career is over. So I'm really excited about him. His film, I've already gotten a head start on him. He is a kind of a psychopath in terms of how crazy he plays. He's very, very nasty. What you want in an offensive lineman. Who did I miss? I didn't. I never did a video on your quarterback commit, Chris Denson. A kid that has a lot of really exciting athletic tools. I think he's a guy that's going to come in and he's going to have to develop a good bit. He's very wiry, but the athleticism is there. He's got good enough arm talent to play at this level. I'm excited to see kind of how Clemson, how he comes in and how he develops. And then the safety commit that you got today, and Jakarian Keenan, kind of your Jordan Young replacement. I think he's a really, really physical football player. I'm gonna have to go. I have not fully watched his film because he was a guy that was kind of on the back burner. But I think he's a guy that will, honestly, from a physical standpoint, is much further along than Jordan Young. And if he can come along, maybe he's a guy that you could see factor into the safety room sooner than you would think. But again, I really like this class with the guys that you did bring in. And I think, like I said, these are kids that want to be Clemson Tigers. Like, it's not we're not here because we're paying you a bunch of money. It's like this. I wanted to play for Clemson. And when I got the offer, like, it was the best thing in the world. And you can't have too many guys like that, in this era where, roster turnover is at an all-time high and kids are, leaving and jumping ship for the bag at any opportunity. So again, but I think this class will be one that, while it certainly was not where it needed to be from a number standpoint, I think the kids you did bring in are really exciting. And again, I plan on doing some videos later in the future where I deep dive into all of them, not just the new kids. And we'll definitely, and if you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments too, because I really do like doing those recruiting videos when I have the time to do them. So let me know if you guys would like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree. You mentioned, these guys kind of being all in, and this is the all in show, so we might as well talk. But these guys just really staying committed to Clemson. You think about a guy in Gideon Davison, a guy that could have, decommitted, could have went elsewhere, especially
Notre Dame. Well, I won't say the Notre Dame gave him a very, very convincing, for a lot of kids, an offer that, they probably wouldn't have refused.
Absolutely.
Gideon's going to be special, man. I love
that guy's special.
What he brings.
His leadership in kind of just recruiting this class, both on social media and then personally with all these people, and staying committed to Clemson, I think can't be understated. He was kind of the glue that held the rest of this class together, in my opinion. And you mentioned Amir Adams, definitely got other offers, had his pick, right? Braden Jacobs, just all those guys just staying steadfast in their commitment to Clemson. I think as Clemson fans, we should count ourselves lucky that those dudes stuck around and that we rounded out a decent class. You look at all the promising offensive linemen that Matt Luke pulled in, certainly adding quite a few spots to that position group. So looking forward to seeing how a lot of those guys pan out. Dabo is really high on some of those offensive linemen, if you heard him talking in his interview today. But overall, I think, it obviously, as you mentioned, didn't end the way we wanted it to. Lost some big time commits that we would obviously much rather have than not have. But you got to be excited about the guys that did choose the Tigers. And they're all in because you mentioned they were tested more than once with very tempting offers from other universities. And they stayed true to the Tigers. So looking forward to getting all of these guys on campus. We got 15 signed today. I think Dabo said 13 of these guys are mid-years. So 13 of these dudes are going to be here through whatever the postseason looks like for Clemson, which is really exciting. You basically have your whole class that are going to be here and be able to be involved with the team in a very, in-depth way during this postseason run, whatever it is, whether it's just the ACC championship and then a bowl game or ACC championship and then playoffs. 13 of these 15 will be on campus and with the team for that. So that's an exciting thing when you think about it from a Clemson standpoint, and something that 13 of those guys can get a jump on spring practice and getting integrated into the Clemson system. So I think that's definitely a positive for us.